Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Community Corner. I've got a studio full of people from the Portsmouth Area Arts Council, and they've got a major production coming up. And next week, I believe, The Mystery of Edwin Drood. And I can't wait to see this. Portsmouth Area Arts Council always does a brilliant job with every production they have. So we're going to get started. We're going to introduce the people in the studio. And you are?
Abby Clausing.
Great, Abby. You're an actor in the play?
Yes. I'm Nicole Hughes.
And I would assume that you're in the play as well?
Yes.
There we go. You've been here before.
Yes, I'm Thompson. I'm the director and choreographer of The Mystery of Edwin Drood.
Allie, thanks for coming back.
Yes, thank you.
And one of my all-time favorites.
I'm Hartlage, the executive director of the Portsmouth Area Arts Council and Children's Theater.
It is great to have all of you in here today. Now, either Allie or Bailey, we'll start with you. Tell our listeners a little bit about the production, such as dates, times, and a general synopsis of Edwin Drood.
Yeah, so The Mystery of Edwin Drood is coming up next weekend, March 17th, 18th, and 19th at the Vern Reif Center for the Arts. We've got two 7 p.m. shows, Friday and Saturday, and then a 2:30 matinee on Sunday. And The Mystery of Edwin Drood is, I'll let Allie take the synopsis as the director.
So The Mystery of Edwin Drood is a hilarious musical whodunit. It was a smash hit on Broadway and it received lots of rave reviews. But The Mystery of Edwin Drood is a spin-off of Charles Dickens' famous unfinished novel called The Mystery of Edwin Drood. And it's unfinished because right before he finished it, we talk about in the show, he committed the worst crime a writer can commit, and he died without finishing the show. So the fun part of this show is that we do the first half, and Nicole, who's here with us, plays our kind of narrator, our chairman, who leads us through the entire show. And the whole thing comes to a halt. And we're like, well, what happens next? And we're like, that's where the audience comes in. So then we have the audience actually vote on who they believe Charles Dickens wanted the murderer to be. And not only do they vote on the murderer, they vote on the detective, which is called the Datchery in this time. And at the very end, there's a fun and quirky love song that the audience also gets to vote who gets to be the lovers of the show. And it's super fun and funny, and we have Abby Clausing here as well, and she plays Edwin Drood. And each one of the actors, they have two characters in the show. So with it being a music hall-esque Victorian era, it starts out with the actors who work at the music hall, and they welcome everybody, and then they're like, all right, let's have a show, and then they turn into their characters for the show. So it's super fun and fast-paced and a good laugh. It's a good belly laugh of a show, absolutely.
Bailey and Allie, I know both of you have been involved in just literally a ton of productions through Portsmouth Area Arts Council. Have you done an interactive show before?
I don't think so. I think we really like to try to do cool and unique things, and especially things that, the students can't get in other places like their schools or anything. So this is really the first time that they're able to work with doing audience work and improvising with the audience. And
and also the cool thing is I think it's been 10 years or just about 10 years since we've had a senior company show. So this show is not a show that has a bunch of our littles in it, our 13 and under. Our youngest is in 7th grade and our eldest is a senior. So this is kind of all the older kids, and there are only 18 students in the show. So it's much more, this is probably the closest, very professional production that we've gotten to put on, because these kids have been doing it since they were children, and now they all get to take on all the leading roles. And so they're all the leading players, and they really have to have excellent ensemble communication. It's just a blast. And it's definitely the more mature and exciting and new for them, I guess.
Well, I could see that, and to me, I would think being interactive with the audience might add an element almost of improvisation with it, and things that kind of creates a little bit of excitement, especially for the actors and the director and everything. So do you expect any surprises? I know the audience is going to get surprised by a number of things, but what about the people that are in the production?
Yeah, absolutely. So all of our ensemble members, even if they don't have a lot of lines or songs to themselves in the show, they are the ones that actually, they've had to create their own monologues. to give to the audience members. So it's general admission. So the audience will come in, and the students will actually be like, all right, come sit in my section. You're going to be part of the Music Hall Royale this evening. And then that becomes their voting section. So when we get to the voting section of the show, that group of people that those students pulled aside as their group, they have to deliver monologues, they have to improv with them, and also the show is fun as in itself, and so Nicole, being our chairman, interacts a lot with the audience, and so Nicole, even just in rehearsals, gets to have fun and throw in improv lines and be goofy and silly. So yeah, for sure, it's definitely a new element, and it's super fun.
Well, like you said, the show itself is a great show. I mean, it really is. It's almost become iconic.
Yeah.
On the bigger stages and things. And you add in this element of interactivity with the audience. And I think the audience will really get behind it. And it'll just be a lot of fun, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even parents and some of our other students who weren't able to be involved in this show because they're doing their high school musical or things like that, they've come in to say, hey, we're going to watch the last 30 minutes of this, or hey, we'd love to work backstage, which is also really great. So even if our students are not able to be in this show, we get them involved in any way we possibly can. Which we're doing that a lot for our junior company show. So we're making the senior company help a lot with the junior company, all that stuff. But people come in and, I mean, they just belly laugh in the audience because it is so fun. So I'm really excited to see butts in seats. Yeah.
As an actor and director, isn't that really rewarding to get that kind of feedback from an audience like that, laughter and just the applause? I mean, isn't that wonderful?
It is. It truly is. And there's something to say about once an audience gets to see a show, it heightens everything, right? Because there's an energy that comes from the audience, and then the actors get to bounce off and back and forth with that, you know? Somebody cackles out a line, and Nicole pops off and is like, oh, you like that, eh? Like, we are in that type of mood this evening. All right, let's keep them going, you know? So it's super fun, and I love to see that audience-actor interaction.
Well, let's go to our actors. You are the narrator, and you kind of run things, is that correct?
Yes, the whole Music Hall Royale is my show, you know.
I like that sense of command.
The Music Hall Royale, I'm the chairman. I'm like the head honcho, like the one who's over it all. So like they all have to listen to what I say, and you know, I help the story move along. I'm the narrator, so I get you from point A to point B very smoothly.
Well, I know that Allie and Bailey both have talked about, you know, the interaction with the audience and things, and it's kind of a new gig, a new form of a gig to begin with, but does that add some pressure on you about how to guide that based on what the audience tells you to do?
Yeah, it does add a sense of...
Or do you like that sense of control?
It's a mixture of both. I do like the sense of control, but it also adds more pressure on me because I have to follow what the audience says, and then I have to take that and I have to relay that to the rest of the ensemble. And it's my job and responsibility to make sure that what the audience chooses gets portrayed in the way that they want.
What are some of your experiences with Portsmouth Area Arts Council productions?
Oh, I've been doing Portsmouth Area Arts Council productions since I was 7 years old. So I've been doing these for almost 10 years now. And I've been in Lion King, I've been in Wonka, I've been doing these for a very long time.
Well, yes, you have. As it relates right now, I mean, you know, it's coming up. How do you think this is going to rank with your favorites of the ones you've been in?
This will probably be up there as one of my favorites, just because of the interaction with the audience and just how unique and different it is to any other show I've ever been in.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You impress me as someone that likes that challenge of something different.
Yes.
And plus, again, we'll get back to that control theme. You have control over the entire show,
yes.
Don't you?
Yes, I do.
Well, that is good. Now, what is your role in this?
So I play Edwin Drood, and Edwin Drood is being portrayed by an actor named Alice Nutting. And she's kind of like the diva of the music hall. She's kind of a little narcissistic, but... And then I play, halfway through the show, Edwin disappears. And I come back as the detective, or Datchery. And that's been really fun to get to play so many different characters in one show.
Well, you know what? I think you said earlier, Allie, there's 18 members in the cast.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So to double down, and really you're almost playing 3 characters in a sense, aren't you?
Yeah.
How big of a challenge is that for you?
It's definitely a challenge, but it's very rewarding and a lot of fun. I get to experiment with a lot of different types of acting and how I want to portray things, and I like having a different voice and connecting with all of my characters and making sure that they're like separate. And so it's been really fun to play with.
Well, good. Now, how many productions have you been involved in?
Well, I started whenever I was 7 years old. Been doing this for 10 years, a long time.
So you guys know each other.
Yes, very well, very well. I think I've done 14 or 15 shows with PAC. So, yeah.
Wow. Now, where would this rank, do you think, in your list of favorites?
It's definitely pretty high. Probably my top 3.
Is it the most challenging so far?
I don't think it's the most challenging. I think I've had a lot of roles that are challenging in different ways. I think this role has made me have to work better with more people, because a lot of the time I'm on my own and trying to figure out myself, but now I have to add on doing it with other people. And so that's been pretty interesting.
And someone besides a director kind of guiding what's going to happen to you throughout the performance, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, this is open to anybody that wants to answer it. Do you see changes happening on different nights of performances based on what the audience wants you to do?
Absolutely. It's live theater anyway. It's a different show every night because, it's live theater. Different things happen.
Different audiences will laugh at different
yeah,
jokes.
exactly.
Different audiences will attach themselves to different characters, which that's also a big thing. So the audience chooses, right, who the murderer is, who the Datry is. Even though Abby says she plays the detective for the first half of the second act. Nicole walks on stage, who's here with us today as the chairman, and goes, so she's been playing this role, but only because we believe in an honest week's worth for an honest day's work for an honest week's pay or something.
Yeah.
And she's like, but she's not actually the detective. And then we have to have the detective voting. And different characters, they all have their own personalities. Like, the kids have worked really hard on their acting and, like, finding these different ways to be these different people. And so on different evenings, I find myself like, oh, this person's really given their all tonight. Like, that's the person that I want to be the murderer, or that's the person I want to do this, right? So the audience gets to make all these decisions on who they like the best that evening, pretty much.
See, to me, that just sounds like a lot of fun. Now, are there a lot of set changes?
Kind of, not really. I mean, this set is really minimalistic. This show is so much where it's a Victorian music hall. We've actually used the entire front half of the stage that isn't usually used in the Vern Reif Center. So it's called the apron. So a lot of the action happens in front of the red curtain to kind of show that we're in the music hall. And then it will open to a different scene. The set isn't huge for this show, but the kids and the acting is huge, So it's one of those things that we've really tried to pour as much into these kids, because you could watch this show on a blank stage and you'd get the entire thing, if that makes any sense.
It absolutely does. Now, and to further that into the conversation, how does blocking work for something like this where there are so many potential changes to what the story is?
So the end to half of the show, like half the second act through the end, is where everything gets decided by the audience. But the first half is very much blocked out pretty well. My big thing as a director is you play, right? So we have them learn their lines, we learn their songs, and then I kind of throw them up on stage and I go, okay, so what would your character do? And that's been a really fun challenge to work with them on. If you guys want to pipe up and say something about that.
It's definitely been a challenge to try to figure out things on our own.
I wish our listeners could see her smile when she says that.
She likes to just throw us up there and be like, yeah, do it. Like, you figure it out on your own, and I'll see if I like it, and if not, if I hate it, then it's changed. I'll change it.
But it's not like it's your first production show. I mean, to me, that shows trust.
Absolutely. I tell these kids all the time, I trust them with absolutely anything, and I put them up on stage and tell them to play because I want to see what they have to bring to the table, what they have to offer. And so the fun part is they get to do that and they go, okay, great, awesome. So I liked this part. So what if we did this, 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 and this? And then they're like, sometimes they'll be like, Allie, I don't like that. And I'm like, just try it. And then it ends up being like, they're like, oh, that was such a good idea. How did you think of that? And I'm like, well, I get to be on this side and I get to help, felicitate all of this. So it's super awesome getting to work with these students who are incredibly intelligent and incredibly empathetic and able to kind of move about the world on their own.
I'll tell you what, you guys, every time you guys are in, especially you two, this is my first time meeting both of you, I believe. But you guys, I know you're always proud of your performers and your kids that you have come in, whether it's the really young ones or, like you say, a senior cast like this. Now, without giving anything away, I'm going to ask you both, so you get a second to prepare. She does not. So,
Oh dear.
is there no? Is there any particular part of the production that is your favorite? Something you can talk about without giving anything away.
Oh, goodness.
If you want to give it away, go ahead. But I think you'll be disciplined if that happens.
I think my favorite is probably there's a big music number where we all get to participate and we like kind of put all of our other worries aside and just do that, and it's really nice to have that and not have to be our exact characters, and it's really nice for me.
You can tell you're an actor. That's a great answer. That really is. That's a great answer. How about you?
So there's a song that me and another character sing, and it's super fast. I mean, like, it's just like one word after the other. It's super fast paced, and I mean, we're doing like full dances with it, and it's just and it's so much fun because you can just do anything with it, and it'll work.
I've been in productions before, but never a musical. I don't have that gear. I don't have that talent. How difficult is it to be doing what you're going to be doing, which is in essence controlling, what comes up next, plus everything else that you're doing?
It's a struggle. I mean, you just always got to think about the next thing that's going to happen.
And I mean, you can always prepare for what you know is going to happen, but it's really scary to not know. Like, it's very I'm afraid of the unknown because anything could happen.
I'm going to pipe up
Absolutely.
here, though, and say that the cool thing about working with the senior cast, it's a small cast, is that when things do go awry, right? When the audience does pick something or if something happens, they have such a sense of community on the stage that you can look at them and you can see them making eye contact going, okay, we're going to do this, right? And they really band together and they really make things happen, and it's really awesome to watch them all work together with the sense of community that they've built with this show.
Being in theater is really fun, isn't it?
It is.
Yes, I can tell. Now, I'll ask you the same question I asked those two. Do you have a favorite scene or part of the production?
Yes, so my favorite scene in the show, so again, it's very quirky. There's a character in the show who is kind of like never the lead. So his character he has like a handful of lines and they're supposed to be really overdone and outrageous. And he always comes out and he prepares himself and he says his big line, and then that's kind of it. And at the very end, almost the end of the first act, Nicole's character comes out and goes, well, that's it for you today. Isn't that the rest aren't you done for the rest of the show? And he's like, yeah, well, I guess I'm done. And Nicole's character was like, well, I heard you're working on a play. Would you like to perform a song for us? And he's like, yes, I would love to perform a song for you. I finally get to my moment to shine. And it's a song called Never the Luck, and the first line is never the luck, never the lead. And it's really fun and quirky, and he gives his everything it's like watching someone who's never got their moment to shine, and every single evening he just does an incredible job.
Well, I'll tell you what, you can tell that all of you are really proud of what's coming up, and I know that the people that go to see this are really going to enjoy the production. Bailey, if you would, take us out and tell us again the dates and times and locations of all of this.
Yes, the Portsmouth Area Arts Council and Children's Theatre Senior Company is presenting The Mystery of Edwin Drood on March 17th through 19th at the Vernrife Center for the Arts. March 17th and 18th, the shows are at 7 p.m., and Sunday's show is at 2:30 p.m. You can buy your tickets online at vrcfa.com, or you can get them there at the door at the McKinley box office.
And again, I know you and I have talked about this before, Bailey, but what a great venue.
Oh, it's
to
it's
have
amazing.
a production.
Yes.
I mean, I've been in it 100 times. It's still a thrill to get to go in.
Yes, yeah, we're so lucky to be able to work there. We've been there the whole rehearsal process, and we've been there the past couple of years. And it's such a great opportunity for these students to really experience such a professional environment and all of that.
Well, I'll tell you what. I encourage everybody to get out and see all the talent that's going to be in The Mystery of Edwin Drood. And ladies, thank you for taking time out of a busy schedule to be here. I'm sure all of you hate missing school and just different things like that. Yeah, there we go. Guys, again, thanks a lot. Appreciate you. Break a leg, and we'll see you coming up.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Mel.